Ladies and sinners, welcome to another show. Welcome to another edition of the IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. If you guys want to get at us, please communicate with us. Reach out to us. We're always willing to talk. We love our fans. We love our IE Sports family. Reach out to us at IE Sports Radio or IE Sports Sin City Sports at Sin City_IESR. You can reach out to me, the host, at Cale_Henderson. A lot to talk about today. I'm definitely going to be kicking off the show today with a little bit of a review of the Las Vegas Aces. A lot going on. Before we get into that, we got to talk a little bit about, I don't know, the guys who pay the bills, those bill payers, those folks that are crucial to IE Sports Radio. Let's get to it. Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Check out their social media, Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors. On their Facebook, take a look at their Facebook, take a look at their schedules, the Southern California Warriors. And then we also have to talk about IE Sports Radio. Again, your direct feed for all that is sports. Our hosts, our love, man, what broadcasts our shows, what we like to do here. For the last 7.5 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month, just $5. Ooh! Show some love, folks. This donation gets you a shout out on all 32 of our shows. High tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show hosted by the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Larry B. himself, The Defining Moment. Thank you all for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And there we go. Folks, ladies and sinners, so excited to be back on. It's been a week's gone by. You think a lot has been going on. I don't know. I think we're still suffering from the Will Smith smacking Chris Rock hangover, man. Watch out for the G.I. Jane jokes. I know it's getting old, but it will only get old probably about a month from now, so I'm going to wear it out till we can. With that said, nothing super interesting has happened in America, for that matter. That's super crazy. I do want to take a moment to say our heart goes out to the southeastern communities that have been affected by the tornadoes, man. Rampant tornadoes, okay? If you folks, we're not here to promote anything. I'm just saying if you folks can, help out as much as you can. Red Cross, anything you can do. Shout out to those folks, man. My heart's with them. So we want to jump into Las Vegas Aces. Their regular season's just around the corner. And with that said, they have to get that lone preseason game, which will be May 1st. They travel to Minnesota on Sunday, May 1st for their lone 2022 or game of 2022. The tip is at the Target Center. They're at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Woo! That's some early games. But hey, they got to get that work in before the regular season starts. As you guys know, we've covered it on the show for the last couple weeks. The Las Vegas Aces, who are the defending basically division champs, there in the WNBA, will start their season off in Phoenix at the Footprint Center against the Phoenix Mercury. Then the following couple days on Sunday, May 8th, they will be then at home at the Michelob Ultra Arena taking on the Seattle Storm. Again, folks, if you get your chance, get out there, take a look at it. I guarantee you it's a lot of fun. Pro sports just know how to get it done, okay? It doesn't matter if it's women's, men's, they know how to get it done. So show some support. And again, they were the defending division champs last year. Okay, they rocked their division. So give them some love, and have a good time. With that, I also want to roll over to the UNLV because I want to give them some coverage. It just didn't feel like there was a lot going on early in the spring. Spring practice is going. One thing that I can tell you guys is UNLV is on the rise. The athletic director has been saying for a while that they're going to do the best they can to become more competitive there in the Mountain West Conference. They have the facilities, they have the nightlife. I mean, they have everything you can ask for to attract recruits. It is now time to put your money where your mouth is. One of the things that they're really excited about, it seems like UNLV Athletics, and you could check that out on the UNLV Rebels .com page. It seems as though the receiving core is fast. It runs deep. There's about 4 or 5 guys with track speed, and they're hoping to take advantage of that this year. The UNLV Athletics, or the Rebels, the men's baseball team won 12-1 against the Highlanders over the weekend. Good game for them. On top of that, I do want to take notice real quick, give a little shout out to Aaron Jarvis, who is a freshman, a Rebel freshman. He's a UNLV freshman athlete. He will be competing in the Masters this weekend. So we got to give a shout out to Aaron Jarvis, man. That's awesome. Guy looks young, and he looks like he just loves the game by some of the pictures and some of the things you see on social media. So if you guys get a chance, you folks in Vegas there in the hashtag Vegas Life, make sure you guys check in on our boy Aaron Jarvis, see how he's doing. That's a big tournament, man. It's like the biggest tournament there is. So if we can give that man some support, let's do it. With that said, I mean, folks, again, IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. We're going to roll into the Vegas Golden Knights before we spend a little more time on our beloved Las Vegas Raiders, who are prepping for the NFL Draft, which is just less than a month away. With that said, but with the Golden Knights, let's get some coverage into it. Last time we spoke, they were on a 2-game winning streak. They have now compiled 5 straight wins. There was a win, I believe it was 2 nights ago, April 3rd, against the Canucks. They won in overtime. This seems to be that point almost every single year where the Golden Knights start to flip it around, and they get to the point where they're ready to start piling on some wins. They're still 4th place in the division. The Pacific Division looks really tough at the top this year, and that's no surprise because it seems to be a very tough division year in, year out. You have a resurging LA Kings team. The leaders of the Pacific Division as of right now are the Flames, and you still have to keep up with the Oilers. I mean, look, Pacific's never easy. It's never easy to win, and it seems like the Golden Knights are always in contention no matter what. When you string this many wins together, the rest of the division still staying ahead. The rest of the division is just that good because it's hard not to get ahead when you have a 5-game win streak. That's 10 points that you put up in a row. That's pretty crazy. What I can tell you is, it looks as though the next few games are against some, I would say, lackluster teams. They're not teams that you necessarily have to worry about as much as the others. If you win the next 3 and you beat the Flames, you're really going to do some wonders to get yourselves in the standings. So I'll put it to you like this: the next 5-game stretch for the Las Vegas Golden Knights would be the Canucks again tomorrow night, April 6th. That would be at home. The Coyotes at home. Coyotes are one of the bottom feeding teams in the NHL. I'm surprised they're still a team sometimes. You have the at Canucks. Then you go, and here's the key thing, folks. They're going to the number 1 team in the Pacific Division, the Calgary Flames. That would be April 14th. If you win that game, that gives you some serious, that helps you make up serious ground. And they need a win, not a tie, a win. Yes, in this part of the year, it's important. But honestly, when you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's only 11 games left in this regular season as of right now. And that means you really have to start doing some work. So I would say some urgency is going to be placed. A team like the Golden Knights that has a ton of talent, they have some serious scorers on this team. I still stand to this day. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think that they lack goaltending, proper goaltending depth. If they had better goaltending, I have full-fledged belief that they would be a much better hockey team. They do miss the flower, man. Marc-Andre Fleury was a absolute foundational piece for them their first few years in the NHL, and I do believe that they miss him. His presence on this year's squad with the type of talent and scoring that they have, I do believe that this would be a much better hockey team. They would be number 1 in the division or they'd be battling for the number 1 place in the Pacific Division if Fleury was still on the team, in my opinion. Of course, it's just my opinion. These opinions are my own. I could be wrong, but in most cases, I'm telling you, folks, listen. I watched a lot of film. I watched a lot of games. I love sports. This stuff comes easy to me. I personally believe with the Flower on the team, even at his older age, I still think he'd be a great addition to this Golden Knights team that's preparing to make a run. So when we look at these next 5 games, again, Canucks, not that good of a team. Okay, you just beat them 3-2 in overtime. I know it doesn't seem like a huge victory, but it's the 5th straight. It's kind of one of those monkey off the back type things. Now, if you win the next 3, you have 8 in a row. There's a possibility any of those teams that are ahead of you can drop a game. It just allows you to kind of jump up. The crucial games will be April 14th against the Flames, at the Flames, and April 16th at the Oilers. The Oilers are the 3rd best team in the Pacific Division. You could argue they're probably 2nd or 1st best because they have crazy talent with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But hey, listen, it is what it is. I still think that they're a hell of a scoring team. The Oilers will be a team that will be in the thick of things when the NHL playoffs comes around because of their talent, their scoring. But if I do believe that if the Golden Knights win those 2 games, somehow squeak out those 2 games, it's a lot to ask because what you're saying is that they could win 10 straight. But you need those points. You need those 4 points against those 2 division-leading teams. It's that simple. If they win those, it's not a cakewalk either because you still have the Capitals, the Sharks, Stars, Blackhawks, Blues. It's not going to be easy, but the reality of the situation is it's go time. If these guys want to make the playoffs, if they don't want to miss their first playoff berth since they became a team in the NHL about 4.5 years ago, I'd say now's the time to really kick it in gear. Awesome. So, hey, listen, folks, I'm going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to give a shout out to our IE Sports Radio family. I'm definitely going to play some of our drops from our fellow IE Sports Radio members. And if you guys want to hit me up in the chat, I'd be happy to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. We're going to have a little bit of free time today before we get into some of this Raiders news and start analyzing some of the things. But yeah, when we get back, I'd be happy to dive into a little more of Raiders talk.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Callum Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I Single A in the FBS. Well then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
What up, ladies and sinners? Welcome back to IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You can get at us on the show at SinCity_IESR. You can also get at me, your host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. I'm always ready to roll, always ready to rumble with fans, whether you want to argue, just shoot the shit. You know, that's what we're about here at IE Sports Radio. We're built for the fans, by the fans. And listen, this is the Vegas show. This is built for the Vegas fans, sports fans out there. So before we get into the Raiders, I want to talk a little bit about the NFL draft, the upcoming NFL draft that's coming. It will be in Vegas, so check out that hashtag Vegas Life. You guys can also go to visit LasVegas.com. And before I get to the details on the NFL draft a little bit, I'm going to talk to you guys about the 2022 NFL draft is right around the corner. IE Sports Radio is excited to announce its third annual mock draft challenge. The rules are simple. Predict all 32 NFL draft picks, all 32 first-round draft picks, I should say. And as I've said for the last couple weeks, if you guys do this, you might as well go get a lottery ticket because you're in it, man. You understand what's going on. You understood the assignment, and you probably need to pass a few millions this way. By the way, your guy that's been encouraging you here on the IE Sports Radio. Yeah, IE Vegas, Sin City Sports Show. Send some money my way, man. I'll send you my Venmo. No trades, no modifications, no tricks. The participant who has the best mock draft will receive a shout out on all of our shows and their choice of an IE Sports Radio hat or shirt. For more information or to submit your mock, please reach out to Mike Pat at letswine_IESR. Good luck. I want to give a shout out to some of the IE Sports family like Taryn Rodriguez, Larry B, who are always heavily involved with the shows. Man, you guys do a great job over there. Gina G, thank you always so much for being involved. Mike Pat, you're one of the guys that you like basically everything on my Twitter. Andrew, I appreciate you guys out there, the IE Sports Radio family, man, for sticking together and staying involved with each other. Just a quick shout out to you guys. You know, I'm not a very sappy human being, but I got to give you guys some love when it's due. The 2022 NFL Draft is just around the corner. If you guys want to check out the NFL Draft, it is free admission. There is a bunch of free things to do there. We've said that for the last few weeks on this show. We're very excited about what's happening in Las Vegas. Just to give you guys an example, if you guys take a look at my Twitter earlier today, I want to let me buzz over there real quick. I want to talk to you guys about the importance of the move to Vegas. All right, a lot of folks don't really understand this, but in a lot of cases, it's huge when you make a change like the Raiders did. Mark Davis needs a ton of credit. He's a genius for what he's been doing, but I think what a lot of folks don't realize is the kind of hell that the Raiders were in when it comes to a financial aspect. They were one of the most cash poor, if not the poorest teams in the NFL before that move to Vegas. And to keep it like really simple, I think that at one point they were legit only worth $970 million before that Vegas move. $970 million. They were the poorest franchise. We're talking about like the Raiders are in a league with the Browns. Okay, the Browns, the Jets, two like the worst franchises probably in NFL history, right? And the Raiders were like the poorest team. Well, it has to do a lot with the city. It has to do a lot with the ticket sales. It has to do a lot with some of its performance on the field. Don't get me wrong. When you go 20 years and only have 2 playoff appearances, that's pretty sketch. So all those things are a factor. $970 million is all the Raiders were worth before the Vegas move. And I'm trying to find the tweet, so bear with me. I apologize for taking up some of your guys' time. But realistically, when you go from $970 million, and I think the rough report, and again, I apologize. I retweeted it. It should be on here somewhere. Let's take a look here. Yep, it was John Wooden. He's on Twitter there. Forbes reported that the Raiders are #Raiders are the 12th most valuable franchise in the NFL now. They are valued at $3.1 billion. The 29th most valuable sports team in all of sports in general. And again, this is an increase over the past 5 years. This is an increase of 117%. So yeah, that $970 million estimate I gave you, it's probably lowballing it a tiny bit, but realistically, that's kind of where they were as far as the franchise value. They moved to Vegas. Now they're $3.1 billion, and it's only rising because of what this new stadium, this team, the market in itself are doing, man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, shout out to Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. It's huge. And then with that being said, as well as the Raiders have done in Vegas, it's also allowing the NFL to attract more events here in Vegas. That's huge. So we'll go back to the NFL draft. If you guys want to take a look at the plans, make sure you guys go to visitlasvegas.com /NFL draft 2022. You guys will see it. The 2022 NFL draft takes over Las Vegas. That will take place from April 28th to the 30th. Guys, we are legitimately 23 days away from the first round of the NFL draft, and it is an event. I don't know if you guys paid attention a couple years ago before COVID hit. Nashville was popping. They estimated more than 700,000 people, additional people, were in town that weekend. Now, they can't 100% say it was because of the draft, but come on. The event, the NFL fans, Nashville is like, it's a miniature Vegas, like a miniature Vegas. Super cool. Okay, if you guys were watching that atmosphere before COVID hit, that was the draft before COVID hit. It was a blast to watch, and I don't see Vegas being any different. It's the first interactive draft that we've had since COVID. Everybody, there's no mask mandate there. Everybody's going to be able to head over there and have a good time. It's free admission. There's things to do. Just take a look. The first round draft picks, for example, on Thursday, April 28th, the NFL draft red carpet, which will be constructed on the famed Fountains of the Bellagio. So on basically the first round this year, the red carpet will feature a float that will basically send first round draft picks from one area of the Bellagio fountain to the stage, where they'll be presented their first round jersey and presented as that number one pick. I think that's super cool, but that's also no surprise because Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. Sin City, right? They're going to go big. They go big or go home, right? So April 28th, that'll be one of the attractions. That should be fun to watch. Big time celebration. On the side of it all, they're going to have attractions. Also, you have, come on, the Strip. It's a blast. It's expensive. Hope you have them deep pockets, but it's a blast. Okay, so you guys take a look at that. There's also forums on the side. Again, there's going to be events that you're going to be able to do basically the entire time. And let me take a look on the they're going to have the 40-yard dash, the Run Rich Run 40-yard dash. Next to that will be live music. Next to that will be eateries all over the place. Literally vendors just parked everywhere inside that forum where you can go and celebrate, hang out, have a good time. There's going to be things to do the whole time, and I really encourage folks to look at that. Again, huge for Vegas sports, big for the Raiders. It's going to be a big presentation. I would imagine the tours will be booked up in Vegas. It'll be crazy. Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Ton of fun to watch. With that said, let's talk a little bit about the mock draft I put out. Actually, before we get into that, let's talk about those free agent pickups. So far, the Raiders have done a really good job, according to Pro Football Focus at PFF. If you guys want to take a look at them on Twitter, they are the third most improved team in the NFL, and that's kind of a big deal considering they were 10-7 last year. They were missing some really key players down the stretch, and they were still able to squeak into the playoffs against the eventual AFC champions, the Bengals. And they really, if you look at that game, I'm not going to make excuses for them. I'm just giving you guys the reality. There was a play where Joe Burrow threw the ball into the end zone to T. Higgins. T. Higgins caught the ball, but when the ball was in mid-flight, the whistle blew. By NFL rule, the play's dead. So theoretically, that game should have very easily been tied on that last drive for the Raiders to go. It was called wrong. No shock there. That's just the NFL officiating that we live with these days. Another really big blown call, I think, that really cost the team was that Saints-Rams game a few years back. I think it was, 2018. Rams safety blatantly hit the Saints receiver when he was going for the ball before the ball was even there. It was the most blatant pass interference you've seen in your life. It was a no call, and I truly believe it cost the Saints that game because they would have been in field goal position and it's in shape to possibly win that game and move on to the NFC Championship that year. I could almost argue that the Raiders were in the same position. Now, granted, they would have had to go on and play the Tennessee Titans. Now, say what you want, man. Tennessee Titans, I just don't think they were that tough of a playoff team this year. Their defense was sick, but Joe Burrow and them guys, a team that the Raiders played very close, did a great job fending off that defense, making Ryan Tannehill look like a C-list quarterback in the NFL. And yeah, it's all she wrote, man. They moved on to the AFC Championship. Perseverance, coaching adjustments allowed them to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And to think, when you look at that, literally the Raiders were one score away. And if you really look into the game where that whole unfair ruling, whistle, dead play call that should have happened, the Raiders were a tie ball game. I mean, no joke. I'm not making excuses for them. They lost. Okay. They were probably the second worst roster in the playoffs last year, but they still made it. So the fact that Pro Football Focus is saying the Raiders are the third most improved team in the NFL after last season, that's great. So let's go over some of the pickups. Here are the big impact ones. I think guys that'll make an instant impact from the jump. Okay, Davante Adams is obvious. He wasn't a free agent. He was acquired via trade. But when you look at that trade, I give the Raiders an A on that trade. I give them an A because Davante Adams is going to be better than any first or second round player that the Raiders could have drafted this year. You know what kind of production he has. Now you have to also factor in he's going to be playing alongside Darren Waller, who is a true number one weapon in the NFL. At 6'6", 260 pounds, runs a 4.4 40. The guy is dynamic as he gets. Why doesn't he get more attention? He gets tons of attention by safeties and corners in this league. That's how the NFL has said, hey, the Raiders are a one-dimensional football team if we take this guy away. And there's not much you can do about it because this Raiders team just hasn't had a lot of depth over the years. So you have to imagine Davante Adams, Darren Waller, a rising star in Hunter Renfrow, who I think is going to be an excellent slot receiver this year. Those are three very good guys. You have a Bryan Edwards, who is in the development stage. He's a big body receiver, ran a 4.4, leading receiver all time for South Carolina Gamecocks. He's still in the mix. I think this is a huge deal. Mac Hollins, you guys may remember him. He was signed this offseason. He's probably a borderline 4/5. But listen, here's the thing with Mac. If you guys don't know him, let me refresh your memory. In 2020, there was a sideline catch that was basically a thrown-up ball after Cleveland Farrell nearly ripped off the helmet. Sorry, not Cleveland Farrell. I think it was actually Arden Key. Arden Key, that disappointment of a player. That could have been system, by the way. Paul Gunther was trash. Brian Fitzpatrick threw the ball up in the air along the sideline. Mac Hollins catches the ball. Basically, it was a 40-yard gain and put Miami in position to win the game with a field goal against the Raiders in 2020. That was a crucial game that could have put the Raiders in the playoffs. That Mac Hollins. Okay. Brandon Bolden, I think he's a big deal. He's an excellent third down running back. The guy averages more than 10 yards of reception over his career. So what that tells me is Josh McDaniels and this staff are going to work the running backs in the passing game a little more. Something we didn't see a lot of with Gruden and company. Okay? There wasn't a lot of screens. That's something that New England does a great job of. They know when to call a screen. And it's not a wide receiver screen. It's legit a running back screen with linemen pulling. We're going to see some of that. And on third down, when it's a big deal, that's something that I believe that this new staff is going to do a great job of. They're going to scheme running backs open. Okay? I think that's an excellent thing. Bilal Nichols, defensive tackle from the Bears. He's a young guy. He's explosive. He's going to be great in the middle. Something the Raiders have really lacked over the last couple of years is interior pressure. He's going to do a great job of applying pressure in the middle, which is going to allow Chandler Jones, who was also signed this offseason, arguably one of the most important. Listen, he's an upgrade. He may be 6 years older than Yannick Ngakoue, who was traded to the Colts for Rock Ya-Sin, cornerback out of the Colts. But listen, Chandler Jones is a better overall football player. And one of the things he does a very good job of, other than just getting consistent sacks, which, again, I'm going to state this, 107 sacks since 2012. He leads the league. Chandler Jones is a monster. He's still a monster. He's still going to be able to do work, and he's on the other side of Max Crosby, who's a nonstop motor, man. The guy runs off nitroglycerin, I swear. Chandler Jones does a great job of forcing sack fumbles, okay? So you have to factor all these guys in. One of my favorites, and I'm going to say this right here, right now, I think Anthony Averett cornerback from the Baltimore Ravens, is going to make a huge impact for this Raiders team. I thought he was a valuable addition on a one-year deal for $4.5 million. He's a player that's probably going to get a ton of looks after the season, and I say that because defensive coordinator Patrick Graham does a great job of scheming these guys to success. You could say a lot about the Giants franchise. The one thing you couldn't crap on was their defense over the last few years, and it felt like they had nobody on their squad, with the exception of, Leonard, right? So let's put it like this. Anthony Averett was the Baltimore Ravens corner last year that shut down Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had 4 receptions for 3 yards. You are legitimately signing this guy to take away the number one dude. He's got speed. He can run with anybody. He stays in the hip pocket really well. He's an excellent man corner. That is why you are bringing this guy in. He's a scheme fit type guy where he is going to be latched on to the number one weapon of every team, unless it's a tight end, of course. Okay? I think this is huge for the Raiders defense. Huge. 4 receptions, 3 yards. Tyreek Hill we're talking about. That's how fast and how disruptive this kid is. Tyreek Hill's no longer in the division, so you can lock this guy on, I don't know, a Hamlin in Denver or a Jerry Jeudy and force the rest of the guys to work against a defense which is massively improved. He's one of my favorites out of all the signings, and I'm not gonna back away from that. Vernon Butler, see here, Kyler Fackrell. These are all depth signings at linebacker and defensive tackle. It's a big deal, guys. Listen, there's roughly 20 plus new free agents that the Raiders have gone after. I think that this is a much more improved team. It's a much more balanced team. The biggest, most glaring need on this team right now would be right tackle and linebacker. I think they need depth there, or starting players there. The right tackle position, there's a possibility we could see Alex Leatherwood get another shot there. If we're being honest, Tom Cable just didn't do a very good job of unlocking potential out of some of these guys over the last few years. I think he benefited from an elite offensive line that had Rodney Hudson, which could be the best offensive center in the last decade. You had 2 excellent guards and Gabe Jackson. And I think you started out with Kalichi Osemele, and then you had Richie Incognito for certain periods. Denzel Good stepped in. I think he benefited. Also, not to mention, when he was available, Trent Brown at right tackle was a disruptive force. He only played half the games that he was basically available on the Raiders roster, but if we're being real, he was literally one of the only guys I've ever seen shut down Khalil Mack completely in a game. Like, guy erased him in 2019 versus the Bears. And if he would have been healthy more often and didn't have the bad blood with the Raiders training staff, I truly believe that he would have been even more disruptive force for this Raiders offense. So right tackle, as of right now, is the biggest, most glaring need for the Raiders. But what you could do is seriously invest in the interior. So the 2 guard positions, if you think you can get better there, do it. Here's the reality. At the end of last year, the last quarter of last season, the Raiders decided to ride with that offensive line, the young core that they didn't want to, basically the young core that they were planning on bringing up. They brought them in. They made the decision to keep them. And with Andre James at center, Colton Miller at left tackle, they thought, hey, we have 2 foundational pieces. Let's just plug a couple guards in. Let's see what Alex Leatherwood can do. Due to injury, Alex Leatherwood has moved into guard, where he actually did improve over the year. They changed their scheme. They went from zone to gap. Now, guys, people listening, if you folks would like to learn a little bit more about football from an X's and O's schematic standpoint, let me know. I'd be happy to put up little tutorials on a week-to-week basis on the Sin City Sports Twitter page. Even if it's something as basic as drawing an inside zone play and an outside zone play, or gap play and inside zone play. Like, there's variations that you can run with the offensive line. The reason why I'm getting to this is I'm just trying to help educate or provide a forum that increases the knowledge of our listeners, right? I'm not here to say I know everything, but I can draw basics and give you guys an idea of what that looks like. So if you folks are interested in that, send us a DM at the Sin City _IESR page. I'd be happy to show those. Hop in the chat. Let me know if those are types of things you guys want to see. I can draw them up and post them up. It'd be interesting content. I'm not quite certain anybody else at IE Sports Radio does that. So, I mean, I'd be happy to help out in that facet. But But the Raiders switched from a zone scheme last year to a little more of a gap scheme towards the end of the year, which basically what that means is zone is simple. You are blocking an area. You are stepping to one area and you are blocking it. Anybody that goes in that area is the guy that's basically crossing your face. That's somebody you engage with. In gap, your idea of gap is it's almost like man blocking. Your goal as an offensive staff and as an offensive line is to isolate players. Normally it's at the second level. Sometimes, depending on the fronts, you have to isolate maybe the nose tackle or the defensive tackle so that you can try and get your running back to the next level. All right, the Raiders switched to more of a gap scheme at the end of the year, and that's why we saw more success from Josh Jacobs, especially at the end of the season. We started seeing yards being piled on, crucial runs getting finished, and that's because the scheme itself changed a tiny bit more. You saw young linemen didn't have to think as much because that's the one downfall of zone. You are asking your offensive line to think a little more, to be more instinctual as football players. Whereas in gap, you're basically assigning them to somebody. In a perfect world, of course. It could change at any time based on a blitz or a shift on the defense. Regardless, with gap, you are asking them to do less because you are locking them onto a man. So if you guys want to see a couple of examples of that, please reach out. Again, we love feedback here at IE Sports Radio. We'll do whatever we can. So I'm going to take a quick few minutes break. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the rest of our team here by playing one of their drops. When we get back, we'll talk about draft needs and the mock draft I posted on the Sin City Sports Twitter page.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do. Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
We're back, ladies and sinners. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in today. We have one part of the show left. Before we get into that, I want to do a shout out. Welcome to IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. Get at us on Twitter at Sin City Sports _ at Sin City _ IESR. You can get at me at Cale Henderson on Twitter. I'm your host. Listen, quick shout out to our fan of the month. Mars _ Vargas 88. He's a Packers fan from Mexico. That's awesome. I'm glad that we're international. We're reaching out. Folks are getting involved. It's sweet. I can't help you for being a Packers fan. It's all good. Thank you for Devontae Adams. But seriously, shout out to you, Mr. Mars. I think it's awesome that you're getting involved with our radio station. Okay, keep it up. Keep it up, my man. So, real quick, before we get back into a little more Raiders Vegas talk too. Vegas Raiders talk to finish up the game. I want to give a quick shout out to Davidson Crooks. Pardon me one moment. I want to give a quick shout out to Davidson Crooks, Chris Haas, the Vegas Fever podcast and the Fast Break for liking the Twitter posts about the show and promoting me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being good teammates. Love, peace, and hair grease on that one. Guys, listen. We were talking a little bit about the Raiders. We were talking a little bit about the free agent pickups that we have. Let's go into the draft needs. Okay. I still think that we're at a situation where the Raiders have to start looking at offensive line. Or if the Raiders feel confident enough, they could definitely get to the point where they feel like, hey, it's best available time. But regardless, their needs are offensive line. I think it's still linebacker, cornerback, defensive line. You still have to add more depth there. So those are the needs, in my opinion, when it comes to the Raiders. I think if I know this, or if I've looked correctly, according to PFF, those are also major needs that the Raiders have to look into. So if you guys get a chance, again, go to Sin City _ IESR. You'll see a mock draft that I posted today, something to keep you guys up to date on my thoughts and what I think the Raiders could do in the draft. Some of it's not very realistic, unfortunately. I just saw trade opportunities. I took them. In my opinion, there's no way that a team allows us to trade back a couple spots and gives us a 4th round pick. I just don't see it happening. But that's the simulation they provided, so I took advantage of it, okay? So if you guys get a chance, take a look at the mock draft. Again, it's on the Sin City _ IESR Twitter page that we have for Sin City Sports Show here. Mock draft, I did 3 trades there in the 3rd round, basically traded back, from 86 to 92. 3 straight trades. It allowed me to add a few 4th round picks. So essentially I went from going 86 to 92. At this point, I was just trying to pick the best athlete I felt was available. There were options out there. There was a quarterback that might have been out there. I think that we're solid there. We have depth there. We have Derek Carr, who's, again, I think he's a perfect fit for this offense. I don't know if you could just take a rookie, plug it in, and be as effective as Mac Jones with some of these guys. Just don't think the quarterbacks in this draft are very impressive. So when I look at the draft, I said, what's going to be a dynamic piece that's going to allow the Raiders to get better? One position I saw was the tight end position. Greg Dulcich out of UCLA, he's a walk-on. He earned a scholarship at tight end. He's about 6'5". I think he's about 245 pounds. He ran a 4.6 40, but he's a dynamic receiving threat. Something that I can tell you guys that's really alarming to me with the Raiders is I just don't see. Unfortunately, I don't see Darren Waller here long term. He's got a deal. I mean, the Raiders got a deal of the century for him. They've grossly underpaid him the last few years at $7 million a year, while tight ends like Zach Ertz, who are probably past their prime, are re-signing with Arizona at $10 million a year. So the Raiders are getting a grossly underpaid player. They have a very valuable contract with Darren Waller. Part of me wonders if they're even planning on extending him. I would, if I was the Raiders, I would extend him for a couple of years. I'd push his money into the future. You guys know the situation. We've said this on the show. The Raiders have nearly, I think it's about $123 million in cap space next year. That's incredible to me in 2023. That is going to change because of the new contracts that we brought on here in free agency, but just being realistic with you, that's a lot of money. That's going to change when the Derek Carr extension happens and the Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones deals kind of take place and start taking effect with that cap space. But regardless, you're still looking at $80+ million to spend. If you can take a dynamic guy like Darren Waller, who is not replaceable in my opinion, I don't think he's I don't think you just replace his production. There's no way. What he does to a defensive team is he provides a huge distraction. He's dynamic. He's so hard to cover. You can't just put a safety on him because he's better than a safety. You can't just put a corner on him because he outmatches the corner. And with the addition of Devontae Adams, part of me feels like Darren Waller could have a contract extension either right before the season starts or just after the season ends next year, because part of me thinks like he's just going to have a huge year. He will have one more year on his contract, so I could see the Raiders using him as a trade chip. But again, he's not someone you can easily replace. When I look at the New England offense, or the offense that Mike or Josh McDaniels ran over the last few years, they have 3 or 4 tight ends consistently engaged in their game. That's why I picked tight end Greg Dulcich. I think he's going to be a depth piece. I think he's going to be an immediate impact guy. There's something going on with Foster Moreau, even though I like him. The guy has the drops sometimes, and it seems as though when he's put on a one-on-one situation, it's still kind of 50-50. When you have a guy like him as a backup, you kind of want it to be 70-30 win percentage on those types of balls. Saw quite a few drops at the end of the season last year that were kind of crucial. They would have moved the sticks and put the Raiders in better position to win games last year. I don't know what's going on with Foster Moreau. Again, I like him. I think he really benefits from having other guys around him that are very good, like any dynamic player. But realistically, we could upgrade there at the backup tight end position. If you give Greg Dulcich a year to learn in this system behind Foster Moreau, you might have a really good backup guy to go along with Darren Waller in the future. The first 4th round pick, I don't mess around, man. I think you always need cornerback depth. This was a value here. Even though Cordell Flott, he's like 6 foot, but he's only 170 pounds. But the dude can cover, man. He's got great grades. He's sticky. He played on an LSU team that's not very good. He played against a bunch of SEC guys, and he didn't give up much. I think he's an excellent player. The next pick at 129, I went guard. Again, I do believe the Raiders should beef up that interior with cheap contracts, lots of potential. Thayer Munford is a perfect example of somebody I believe that can pull. He can play the gap scheme you're looking for. He can play zone if you need him to, and he had 6'6", 324 pounds. He's going to move people, okay? He's going to help Andre James. I think he's a great draft pick, and as you guys can see, the grades are there. The only 2 suspect grades I have right now are that tight end, because to them it was a bit of a reach, but for me, I think he's a dynamic, impactful player, so I picked Greg Dulcich there. It is what it is. I have a plethora of picks. The other one is Kennedy Brooks, running back. Running backs just aren't valued the way they used to be in today's draft. Regardless, everyone else is a B or higher. So these are value picks. These are guys that I'm picking in the 3rd through 7th round that I believe are going to come in and really add depth or impact to this Raiders team. Thayer Munford is one of those guys. Abina Easy, he's a tackle out of TCU. Played left tackle. Big disruptive force, man. Big guy for TCU. Did he allow a few sacks? Yes. But I think you can easily move a guy like him who has athletic traits that you can't teach over to the right tackle position at 6'6", again, 328 pounds. He's a big dude. He's a mauler. If you could somehow put these 2 together, great. If he doesn't work out, at least you're bringing him in for 1, depth. 2, you're trying to motivate Alex Leatherwood. You're trying to see what you have out of Alex Leatherwood. If Abina comes in and he beats him out, guess what? Leatherwood just moves down to right guard where he finished the year last year. I think you can make a dynamic offensive line with these 2 guys alone. Okay, DeMarco Jackson, one of the better linebackers in this draft. The guy can go sideline to sideline. His only subtraction there, maybe a bit undersized at 6'1", but I still think he can fly around. And he's at Appalachian State. He just doesn't have the same kind of scouting prowess everyone else has, but PFF values him. They look at his film. They say this guy could be a valuable dude. He's somebody who could cover tight ends. He's somebody that can cover slot guys if you need him to. Raiders need linebacker depth really bad. So he was an easy pick for me. I think he's a dynamic guy you could add into this Patrick Graham defense and play very well. Noah Ellis, huge defensive tackle, okay? Huge nose tackle. Huge. All right, out of Idaho. He's someone who's going to be very hard to move. I think he's around like 360 pounds, man. He's a big dude. You're gonna need 2 dudes to move him. He's that big, and his tape shows it. Okay, his highlights show it. All right. I don't think there's a lot wrong with his game. He can't really pass rush, but you don't bring a guy like this in to pass rush anyway. You bring him in to clog up the middle, to tie up the center and the guard, and free up some of your other rushers, dynamic players on your defensive line. That's why you bring a guy like him, okay? You see he's an A+. In the 5th round, I can't believe he was still there. Again, this mock draft in some ways is not realistic. Just giving you guys an idea. This is where I think this would be a good spot to pick him up. He's going to add depth. He's going to be a starter in a couple of years, and he's going to be productive in that Patrick Graham defense. Micah McFadden. I always have a hard time between him and Jack Sanborn out of Wisconsin. Sometimes I think Jack Sanborn really benefited from an elite front, and Leo Chenal, who I think is probably the best inside linebacker in this draft, in my opinion. I'm just giving you guys an idea of how disruptive he is. The Georgia linebackers could fly, okay? They can move around, they can cover and stuff like that. Leo Chenal at 250 pounds, he ran like, I think it was a 4.5 40. The dude's just explosive. He's one of the best man blitzing linebackers in the draft this year, probably that we've seen in the draft for a few years. Leo Chenal, whoever gets him out of Wisconsin, it'll probably be late 1st, early 2nd round. They're going to get a disruptive man, okay? So I go back and forth between Micah McFadden out of Indiana, who played in a cast his senior year or last year, which largely made him, less effective. That's kind of what happens when you don't have your hands. But Micah can run, man. He can run with the best of them. And in today's NFL, you need linebackers that can run. And I think he runs slightly better than Jack Sanborn, even though Sanborn to me is a more instinctual tackler, more instinctual ball. He goes for the ball. Micah's going to be a guy that will fit into this defense very well. And according to PFF, this was a great pickup for me with that A grade. Kennedy Brooks, he knows how to run the power spread game. Okay? Again, power. That's something the Raiders are going to move a lot to. It's a gap scheme that Josh McDaniels runs. He tries to simplify things for his offensive line. It's about moving people, being dynamic, and getting positive yards on 1st and 2nd down. That's something you guys are going to really see with this Raiders coaching staff. They are going to create efficient game plans that players can execute that will allow the Raiders to be in better positions consistently than what we've seen the last 4 years. They've improved this roster. They're going to use the pieces. They're going to utilize the talent they have on the roster. I think a guy like Kennedy Brooks, who, again, he's a 6th-round running back. They're dime a dozen out there running backs are, but he's got a ton of experience running behind big offensive linemen that pull. Kennedy Brooks, to me, is a steal in the 6th round. I know it's a C-, but you need guys with experience. Josh Jacobs, I don't see him being here next year unless they pick up the fifth-year option. But there's still a possibility he's not here next year. One thing New England doesn't do is pay running backs. They just don't. So realistically, I could totally see Josh Jacobs being gone next year. I could totally see Kenyon Drake being gone next year, even though he was extended and he had voided years created. You're going to have to bring in young talent to replace those guys. Kennedy Brooks is a perfect guy for that, okay? And then the following draft, you bring in a running back. Something you guys are going to see year in, year out. They're going to continue to bring in running backs. And then Eric Swenson, again, huge tackle with experience. Huge tackle with running gap scheme experience at Oklahoma, something that Lincoln Riley loved to do. He'd be a perfect fit. He's big, he's athletic, he can move, okay? So a lot of what we're trying to do here, in this case, we're just trying to give our team a chance, man. We're just trying to give our team depth, because that's something I think the Raiders really need to focus on. I think you have impact guys on this team. You can win football games with the guys that they've brought in free agency. You can win football games with the guys that they had last year, obviously, because they were 10-7. All you did was improve according to Pro Football Focus. Now, add depth. If you can add 2 or 3 more mid-round draft picks by trading players or trading back, that's the best way to do it. Add impact, developmental depth. That's one reason why New England's been so dynamic for 20 years. They constantly have dynamic depth that can just replace. They didn't extend J.C. Jackson, arguably the best man corner out there, right? No. What they did is they just have drafted depth. They're going to draft into their corner. They're going to continue to develop, and that's what I think the Raiders do moving forward, and it's going to continuously make them a winning football team, something we haven't seen in years. So, folks, again, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in tonight. I know it's a Tuesday night. Again, get back to us. Get on us. Tweet us. DM us. Go to the Sin City Sports page at SinCity_IESR. you can hit me up on my Twitter at Kale_Henderson. I'm always willing to talk to our fans. If you guys want me to do some layouts of gap and zone schemes, just miniature drops or basic drops and plays, I'd be happy to do that. Let me know. I can post that on the Twitter. With that said, guys, if you guys have anything you guys want me to talk about in Vegas when it comes to Vegas sports, maybe the AFC West in itself, hit me up. We're always willing to add subjects. We're always willing to talk. But most importantly, ladies and sinners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Get at us next week. It'll be 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time there in the Vegas. This is the IE Vegas Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see y'all next week. Love, peace, and hair grease.